Welcome to Game Changer. I'm Mariam Zia. China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is often referred to as the game changer for the region, as it has transformed not only Pakistan's relations with China but also the regional cooperation and integration is reaching to new heights. In today's program, we will be talking about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Of course, we know that we are celebrating 10th anniversary of the launch of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and in this context, the Vice Premier of China, Mr. He Lifeng, was also in Pakistan for 3 days visit, and of course this was to reaffirm the commitment to China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and also to bilateral relations between both the countries. When we talk about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, of course we know that more than $25 billion investments have been made in different sectors in Pakistan, and now we are moving to the next phase of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. In today's program, we will be talking about the lessons learned in these 10 years of the launch of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and we will also be talking about the next phase of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, what will be the focus and what sectors would be the focus and how this is going to change the game of the region. To discuss this and more, we are joined in the studios by Mr. D.I Khan, who is expert in international affairs. Welcome to the program. And we're joined online by Dr. Hassan Javed, who is economist and expert in international affairs. Welcome to the program. Dr. Hassan, let me start with you. Of course, when we talk about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and we are celebrating 10th anniversary of the launch of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, let me start with the basic question. What are some of the basic lessons and key lessons learned, and what are the achievements when we talk about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor for economic prosperity of Pakistan?
First and the most important thing is that the Gwadar is the main hub of the whole Central Asian state within this region, and this region become the most important for the West, for the whole world, and for the Europe too. And even the Russia and everyone must have to pass through us. Now, what we have done in the phase one, which is very much necessary, it is about the 62 billion, and now it is going to invest in a very fast speed, which would be the $26 billion, and which is about approximated could reach by $100 billion. So this is very much important, and that time, which is very much difficult under this scenario. But what activities under this visit, and this is very much important visit, as I told you earlier, that He Lifeng, the premier, the excellency, is belong to the Politburo, and he once any person from the Politburo comes to any country, that's mean it is a high level designation, it is the most focal area, and they are now moving on to the very serious issue, which is the delegation, the Chinese vice premier He Lifeng, who along with this delegation is visiting to attend the 10th anniversary celebration of Cpec. So what are the activities they have done is very important. They have making the establishment and having done with just not the MOUs. They are creating the activities, and that has been done. And the ministries from Pakistan side and ministries from their side, and they are the MOU on an export exchange mechanism. Then they will have the requirement for the export of the chilies. And then they are going to have the Karakoram Highway Phase 1, which is very much important, and the project feasibility study for the final report signed for the Thakot, and then the strengthening work exchange program, and so many other, and most focal point is the special economic zone, and they have planned everything for the special economic zone, which is about the 9 economic zones in Pakistan.
Right. So when we talk about these important MOUs that have been signed, how do you see that these are going to include those areas that were not included in the first phase of Cpec, and how this is going to extend to the neighboring countries as well? What is significant and what is different in these MOUs?
See, most of the people have the conspiracy about the Cpec, and they don't understand the Cpec in actual way. Nothing can be done in just one day. It is not a flip of a finger. So in the first phase, they haven't asked that we will deliver all the things. First, they have to make the base. So they have made the base in Gwadar. They have made the phase, and they have done the feasibility report over there in the 9 economic zone, from Russia Kai to Dhabaji and everything. So 9 economic zone for the 9 different region, considering the fact which is dynamics in the Balochistan, in the KPK, in the Punjab, and the Sindh. So they have done that, and now they are focusing on the special economic zone, which is very much important. And this is, let me just tell you about the phase. So the second phase CPEC would be featured the B2B investment. So Mariam, you have putting up a very important question. So in that phase, they are now focusing. First phase, they are just G2G. Now, second phase,
Right.
they are involving B2B investment in agriculture and information technology to enable Pakistan to export its product according to the Chinese standard and requirement, which is very much important. Chinese standard and requirement. And then is the second phase revolve around the private sector, and industrialization is driving force along the cooperation in the field of science, technology, and as well as in agriculture. So the whole success of the CPEC phase two would be on, it should be adopt two-pronged strategy, domestic and global, and then it is enhancing the strength of the industrial base, inclusion of the global supply chain, technology dissemination, spillovers, and diversification of the industry. And then the global Pakistan, and for the global Pakistan should focus on attracting more inflow of the direct investment and the trade related investment. Now we are very much ready for all that, in Pakistan, China along, and together they are waiting for all the Middle Eastern countries. They are looking forward for the New Zealand, Brazil. They are looking for the European country, and now we are moving on to the better
Of
foreign
course.
direct investment, because phase one was the base and second is the execution.
Right, but Dr. Sen, when we talk about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and we are celebrating 10 years, of course, this is a time of reflection for us as well. During the execution of first phase, a number of challenges also were faced both the countries in different projects. So, in your opinion, what were those challenges and what needs to be done in the second phase for smooth implementation of different projects?
So I can divide into two. One is the internal, second is the external. So internal is the bureaucratic glitches, which is going to be, solved very soon, because all the ministries are there. And once the vice prime minister, himself, he's one of the powerful men in the China. So he's looking and he's supervising the whole project by himself. That's mean it is very much important. Now, the one window operation would be there, and there will be no hindrance from now onward. And first is the bureaucratic glitch, which will be covered by the SIFC, and of course the guarantee by the Pakistan military, or of course they will be looking forward. And second is the external. So external, you must have to understand that not a single Western power or their alliances, or maybe it comes to the other countries, but I just don't want to take the name. They are the biggest hurdle, because just try to understand, when CPEC is there, when Pakistan have the CPEC is there. So according to the report, it will assist the reduced travel time from 20 days to Oman, from Oman, 21 days from Saudi Arabia, 24 days from Kuwait, 22 days from Netherlands, 2 days for Germany, and 21 days from France to China. So see, if we reduce the travel cost time, we are giving the berth, we are giving the lowest tariff rates. So then you can see that why the whole world is not looking for, why the Middle East have some problem in that. So it is very much important thing that Pakistan, when the Gwadar, when it will be completely operational, there would be some problem. And of course, the biggest problem faced by, and they have the problem in their heart, and they are somehow explicit in this way by the statement of the America. So you can have the American statement. So they are the challenges. There are many challenges we have faced within all these decade for the 10 years. But
Right.
finally, we are on the way. We are determined. We are consistent, and we are pursuant, and we will do that. And we are not fearing of anything.
Of course, we are determined, and when we talk about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, of course, we are moving on to the next phase of this China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and a number of sectors have been focused on when we talk about the second phase of Cpec. So one of the sectors is industrialization would be focus. How do you think that what sectors or what industries would be main focus, and where, in what sectors or what industry there is a potential for more investments that have overlooked in the past?
So Mariam, the second phase, we are now entering into the second phase of Cpec, and this is like long being discussed. So what exactly entails the second phase of Cpec? So after all the infrastructure, the power projects, the road projects, the infrastructure projects were once when completed, even the Gwadar port. The second phase basically entailed movement of Chinese industry and establishing them in Pakistani special economic zones, moving of like some Chinese businesses to Pakistan. So this is like investment when it comes to the export and imports of goods between Pakistan and China. So we are entering the second phase now. In the previous question, you also like asked what were the hurdles. So all of these hurdles are now being addressed in the second phase. So the biggest hurdle, one, as Dr. Hasnan basically mentioned, the red tape, the bureaucratic red tape that was hindering the smooth flow of projects.
Lack of coordination, and SIFC is going to address that.
Exactly. Between the federal and the provinces, there is a lack of coherence when it comes to policy implementation. So the provinces develop their own policy, and that sometimes is not aligned with the federal government. So that was the first step that has been resolved by the establishment of SIFC. The second issue was transfer of technology and the skills development of Pakistani labor that would be working in these special economic zones or working in the industries related to anything that will be using the whole framework of Cpec. So in that phase, in the second phase and this 10-year anniversary that was celebrated yesterday, there are like 6 very important MOUs that have been signed. And this shows the direction that Cpec will be taking in the next coming years. So one of the most important MOUs that I basically was looking forward to was the strengthening of workers exchange program. So that has been signed by the government of Pakistan and the Workers Union of China. So this is an exchange program of Pakistani workers and Chinese workers. So they will be transferring skills, they will be transferring education, and other than that there will be technology transfer as well. So our workers now would be at par with like Chinese workers, and they would have the technical expertise to basically perform in these special economic zones, and they would have the skills to basically operate in Chinese owned industries. So this is very important. There are like a few very important infrastructure projects that were lagging from the phase 1. One of them was ML1 railway line. Very crucial to Pakistan, and it will also like connect Gwadar to mainland Pakistan and like up north to China. So that the minutes of that project, these were signed in October. The MOU was signed in October in the JCC meeting. So this time around, when the Chinese Vice President was there, these minutes were formalized, signed by both parties and exchanged as well. So this basically means that this project is now good to go, and the work on this will be done in the coming days. Other than that, one very important aspect that I want to highlight here is the export of Pakistani agricultural products to China.
Of course.
When we were facing a lot of hurdles in that, the biggest hurdle was international certifications when it comes to phytosanitary requirements. So these are requirements when agricultural produce is being exported from one country to another. They have to be at international standards, and like the bugs and like the some sanitary requirements that were not being fulfilled from the Pakistan side. So this whole framework and protocol has now been signed between China and Pakistan, and the first batch of dried chilies would be sent from Pakistan to China. So now we'll see a lot of like agricultural movement and exports from Pakistan side to China, and that has also been signed in this
I want to talk more about agriculture sector, because this is one of the sectors that will be focused on in SIFC as well. And in the second phase that we keep on talking about, agriculture is one of the main sectors that is being discussed. So how do you think that this focus towards agriculture is going to enhance the productivity when we talk about Pakistan's exports to other countries, and also to create sustainable system for local farmers and for local producers as well?
So Mariam, the biggest industry that Pakistan generally has is agriculture. And Pakistan is a country of now like over 230 million people. And it's very unfortunate that a lot of times we have to import even our staple, crops like wheat, sugar. So generally, when it comes to Pakistan, the per acre yield of all of our products or like crops is very low. And we have to move towards individual farming to industrial scale farming. For that, the infrastructure required, the technology required, the genetically engineered seeds, the technology, the drip irrigation technology, and basically making a lot of like land which is like barren in Pakistan and move it towards like more agricultural sustainable growth, as you were mentioning. We will need support from China. We're also getting support by Dubai
or
UAE from this side as well. So this is where Pakistan has large swaths of lands, a lot of like very sophisticated irrigation systems. What we basically need to do is move towards industrial farming, in which we can cultivate these large swaths of land, and then Pakistan can be self-sufficient in feeding its own people, and the major crops can also be exported to China and UAE and Middle East as well.
Of course, this is very important, Dr. Sain, when we talk about different sectors that are going to be focused in the second phase of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Of course, science and technology is one of the key sectors that will be focused. So how do you think, can you tell us about some of the joint initiatives that will be undertaken and how this is going to enhance Pakistan's innovation and technological advancements?
You can see the stat under the education program of the China. We have already, I mean, it is 5,000 graduates from China just last year. So before the COVID, it was the more than 10,000 people. So students are here in the agriculture mechanization, seed, soil, and the different sciences, agriculture mechanization, and the spillovers in the different technology, the high level technology and the medical. So China has supported with this CS scholarship, and they are giving 4,000 yuan to every scholarship, and they are giving more support to our Pakistani students. So this is very much a better initiative. And let me tell you that around the globe, they have the initiative, BRI initiative for the 151 countries, but most focus they are giving to the Pakistan. And yes, it is just not the Parthian, I mean, iron friendship. It is more than that. It is just not a metaphor to the all-weather friendship. They have also given a maximum leverage to Pakistan. But now it's our time to, I mean, execute in a better way, to transform in a better way. We must have to use the agriculture technology into our university and agriculture mechanization. And Mr. Shahyar is pointing out very well. So we must have to strengthen two very important things, which is the strengthening the co-worker exchange program, and second is the requirement of the export of the dairy of the chilies, which is the cytosentry. This is the technology what they are using and they ask for, and we have to train and we have to execute special economic zone under their areas of most important hydropower, then the infrastructure and road and ML1 project. They must have to strategize in the biggest way. And as far as your question is concerned, they have worked a lot for the student and the student exchange program in sciences.
Right. When we talk about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, of course, we are moving on to the next phase of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. We will be talking more about this and the lessons learned, but after a short break. talking about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and different facets of the second phase of Cpec. Dr. Sen, when we talk about Cpec, of course, you earlier discussed about the challenges that we faced in the execution and implementation of different initiatives and joint ventures. But of course, when we talk about the overall objectives of Cpec, transparency has been very important, and inclusivity of the different regions has been very important. So how do you think this is going to be ensured in the second phase, that these two factors are being implemented in their true spirit?
As I earlier told you, that it is about the 6.43%. I mean, if I estimate the total GDP, it will increase by 6.43% until 2023 as a result of infrastructure investment, according to the World Bank report 2019. So social welfare development from Cpec Phase II, it would increase by 10.51%. So consequently, it would also help to lift the 1.1 million people out of extreme poverty if we follow the same mechanism what we have done, and we must have to ensure that. And it has also potential to boost the employee opportunity in Pakistan, get for 4 million new jobs, and trade will also witness an increase of 9.8% if Pakistan implement the Cpec and support it by required reforms. Now, there is very much important word is reform. So horizontal and vertical linkages, duplication of the ministries, one window operation, complete crystal clear, no red tapeism within the Board of Investment, within the Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Planning Division. And I would request to Mr. S.N. Iqbal, the head of the Planning Division, the Minister of the Planning Division, and he is also Minister for Reforms. We must have to create the one window operation and reunified the one window operation for the Cpec authority. So Cpec authority must have to regain its power so that one window operation can go in a better way, and there must be some very powerful accountability must have been done between the import and export licensing, and high level quality assurance possibilities for both of the countries. The Chinese have the Cpec model and we have the GDP model. For that reason, we must have to involve the best of the meritocratic people, the CEO from the top industry, CEO from the top areas, and we have to put up the high level CEOs to run this execution if we want to have the foreign direct investment to upgradation level. It is not part of the our bureaucracy, because our current bureaucracy don't have that knowledge to understand, and commercial consulate and commercial attaches must have to be very much focused. As you know that China always gather all the commercial consulates in the whole world so that they can get the best maximum input to the world. So input over output equals to productivity. So we must have to focus within the area, and that's the only way we can establish the special economic zone. Otherwise, the special economic zone just for the G2G, it cannot be possible. We have to involve the B2B, and the crystal clear mechanism must have to involve, which is only under the SIFC plan, which is under the Pakistan military.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Sen Javed, for joining us in today's program. Of course, we are also joined in the studios by Mr. Humayun Khan, who is expert in international affairs. Welcome to the program, Mr. Humayun. So, Mr. Shehryar, let's continue the discussion. Of course, when we talk about the second phase of this Cpec, green development is also very important, and emphasis is being given on green development as well. How this is going to ensure the sustainability of environment when we talk about the implementation of different projects of Cpec?
So, Mariam, when it comes to green development, what we have to realize that ever since the last 2 years, Pakistan has been feeling the brunt when it comes to the environmental impacts of climate change. This is also due to the fact that what we have to keep in mind is that Pakistan produces less than 1% of global greenhouse gases. What does that mean? That basically means that the industrialization in Pakistan is not at the level at which it is in India or China or neighboring countries, but because of the environmental impacts of industrialization, Pakistan is a country that is now very vulnerable to changes that come from climate change. When we basically start our journey of sustainable development, sustainable growth, we have to like make sure that first of all we develop adaptability and resilience to the effects of climate change.
Right, and how China is going to help?
So China has the expertise, the technology, and the growth standards that Pakistan can apply. When it comes to technology transfer that will be taking place with all of these MOUs that are signed, especially targeting towards agriculture. So this technology will enable Pakistan to develop frameworks, develop platforms which will basically enable Pakistan to undertake projects that are more sustainable in nature. So now there has been like international watchdog agencies are basically now not going towards coal powered projects.
Of course.
Pakistan is also looking towards alternatives, but at the same time
renewable energy,
solar energy, there are like a lot of like prospects where again international technology and international transfer of technology is needed for the green growth projects. And even in the last few programs we basically discussed when Pakistan went to the Global Climate Change Summit in Paris, one of the key discussions that were taking place, and our ministers over there, they basically asked the international community that if Pakistan has to grow, if Pakistan has to increase its agricultural base, the technology base and the industrial base as well, which is a major part of the second phase of Cpec as well, we need support from the international community on transferring technology to Pakistan, which will enable Pakistan to have a more model which is more sustainable, which is more green. Other than that, we have to make sure, coming from your previous question, that growth in Pakistan has to be equitable in nature as well.
Of course, inclusivity is important.
Inclusivity is very important. So we have to focus on areas which historically have been marginalized from Pakistan's growth. So when it comes to Gwadar, when it comes to investments in Balochistan, when it comes to investments in north and like the KP region, we have to make sure that the local communities have a buy-in and ownership when it comes to this development. And that also is being provided in the second phase of Cpec when we basically discuss the skills transfer program, the workers exchange program. So this will enable the local population of these areas. And currently today I was just like attending the Pakistan Mineral Summit. And over there as well, a key discussion that is like taking place is how to basically empower the local communities and develop a buy-in from those communities that the growth is one, sustainable, other than that it has to be inclusive and green in nature.
Of course. And of course, to discuss this more, we are joined online by Dr. Talat Hussain, who is Director, China Study Center, ISSI. Dr. Talat, welcome to the program. So let me start with you. When we talk about a shift from geopolitics to geo-economics, how do you think this has impacted China-Pakistan economic corridor, and what are key sectors that are going to be impacted in your opinion?
Thank you very much for having me over. Basically, when we talk of geoeconomics, and I think if we have something very concrete in our hands these days is China-Pakistan economic corridor, because as you know that China-Pakistan economic corridor is a kind of a promise of our future economic development. Now, with the vision that has been reflecting from the high-level meetings that was carried out in the past 2 days, we understand that it is now time that we must know that we have to carry out some kind of serious thinking of how can we make Cpec as a tool for advancing geoeconomics. Now, when you look at the components of Cpec actually has addressed our energy crisis, has addressed energy problems. Cpec has addressed infrastructure, which is a very key requirement when you are looking at economic development, particularly logistics. And then industrialization, that the second phase, which is, I think, a focus of 2 days summit that has just happened in Islamabad. The industrialization phase is very important for our economic development. So I think there's a very good news for all of us that the most focus of the 2 days deliberation was phase 2, that is industrialization, and number of agreements have taken place, number of
Right, of course, we have already discussed these MOUs, and we are talking about Pakistan's strategic position. Mr. Umayya, when we talk about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, of course, Pakistan's strategic location is very important. How do you think that Pakistan can leverage its strategic position to attract more FDI? Of course, like we have witnessed, and we are witnessing that Pakistan Mineral Summit is also going on, and different neighboring countries are also interested in investing in different sectors. So what needs to be done to attract more FDI, and what are some of the sectors in which Pakistan needs more focus on?
Thank you, Mariam. I guess Dr. Hasnan was alluding to that a little while ago, that we need to have like one window operation. We need to enhance the ease of doing business here. What China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and now that we are entering into the second phase of that, we will have special economic zones. 4 of them are actively under consideration. A lot of work has already been done. Dhabeji, Faisalabad, Rashakai, Bostan Industrial Area, and then also Gwadar Special Economic Zone. Within that, we are going to attract a lot of outsiders. And by the way, by outsider, I mean those who are not part of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, but those who are willing to invest, which is Qatar, which is Saudi Arabia, which is UAE, which is Iran, which is all other neighboring countries. So once we establish that, we have already set the base. We have infrastructure laid down, we have electricity provided, we have other facilities which we are working on. So in that particular sense, what needs to be done is providing them ease of doing business. You know, when we, for example, when we want to have an industry here, at least there are more than 20 to 30 NOCs which are required, and there are different government offices. So we need to have like one window operation, which is being implemented now.
Of course, that is
that is now being implemented. So if that is done, I guess we are going to attract a lot of investment from countries in the neighboring, and also from the European Union as well. And I also want to add the previous question that you asked, Mr. Shahryar, how China has helped us in going green. COP27, which held in Sharm el-Sheikh last year, it was G77 plus China, and which Pakistan was representing. We were able to, for the first time in the history of climate discussion, able to include losses and damages at the agenda, and then also create this fund where the global north is going to finance. And then recently, like a couple of days ago, we have National Adaptation Plan by Ministry of Climate Change. That is also going to provide a lot of tools which are the government of Pakistan, people of Pakistan, government of Pakistan, private sector is going to implement, where we will employ those and we will have more resilient, climate resilient business environment. Then we are also going to have more damage control and mitigation policies at our hand. So in that sense, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, we have just recently announced 10,000 megawatt of solar plants within Pakistan.
Of course, that's what I want to talk about the energy security and energy cooperation. And also when we talk about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, of course, regional integration is the key component of Cpec. So what about the progress on ML1, because this is very important, how this is going to increase trade volume between both the countries and also to the neighboring countries as well?
This is one of the most significant project of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, to the tune of like $8 billion plus. Negotiation has been going on for last 1 year. Recently, yesterday, we have signed another MOU which is going to expedite the nitty-gritties which were like left open in the next, in the previous few months. So hopefully the expectation is in finance, our Minister for Planning and Development in a briefing yesterday, announced that in this end of this year, we are going to start implementing the ML1 project. Not only ML1, Karachi Circular, as well as many other big projects. So if that is done, you know, we are talking about South Asia, Central Asia connectivity. In your program, like a couple of days ago, we've talked about the Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan railway. So if these big projects are implemented, this ML1 apart, and then these other projects will connect with each other, and Central Asia and South Asia will get connected. And this is the whole idea of Belt and Road Initiative in China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, that we, there's a very famous Chinese proverb, and I guess probably I've said it earlier as well in your program, that if you want to become rich, you need to build road, and by road you mean infrastructure. So railway is one of the most cheapest means of communication, easiest, secure. So if we are able to implement that, I guess that's going to open new vistas of cooperation and avenues of business in the coming days and ahead.
Right. Dr. Talat, of course, this is very important. And when we talk about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, Gwadar Port is very significant because this is located at the mouth of Strait of Hormuz. So can you tell us about some of the projects or initiatives that are going to be implemented at Gwadar Port, and how this is how those projects are going to enhance regional connectivity and making the vision of Pakistan as a hub of trade and connectivity within the region true?
Right. I think some of your panelists mentioned that Pakistan becomes a hub of connectivity. So, and our definitely our strategic location in terms of becoming a platform for this connectivity is very important. We are definitely on a very strategic location. We connect with Afghanistan, Central Asia, and through Gwadar to Middle East and beyond. So you have very important location. Now coming to the projects and becoming hub, I think Gwadar, when it at first place when it was thought that Gwadar becomes a metropolitan city, a mega port, and it works as a platform for connectivity across the continents that China thought it would connect with through Gwadar. Now, Gwadar, I visited a couple of months back. There's a lot of work being done in Gwadar. Sorry. The Asia's biggest airport, largest airport, is also coming up in Gwadar, which is going to be operational maybe in a couple of months. And but for Gwadar and elsewhere in Pakistan, I think we need to create business sense everywhere where we could do commercial activities, and especially when we talk of special economic zones, they are very important for, like, if you have a airport at Gwadar, but if there's no business in Gwadar, then I think it won't make sense. So now in the second phase, we must try and operationalize not only Gwadar Airport, but operationalize the special economic zone.
Of course, and Dr. Talat, when we talk about these special economic zones, what sectors or industries have shown interest in setting up their industries or systems in these special economic zones, and also tell us about the progress on some of the special economic zones?
Phase 2, which is industrialization, is most important phase in Cpec. For example, whatever hopes that we pin to economic development is through industrialization. For example, we expected a lot of Chinese industry to relocate in Pakistan. We expected our own domestic industry by joint venture or whatever arrangement they were expected to revive. We expected a lot of exports to grow, but that's the purpose of one of the purposes of SEZs. When we look at SEZ or industrialization phase, I think the pledges and promises made in these last 2 days, are very important, because they are actually focusing on industrialization phase in Pakistan, and I expect a lot of activity will take place in pursuance of what has been decided in these 2 days.
Right. Of course, a lot of activity is expected to take place in these special economic zones, and these are going to be helping the local communities as well. Thank you very much, Director, China Study Center, ISSI, Dr. Talat Shabir, for joining us in today's program. Of course, let's continue our discussion. Mr. Humayun, when we talk about special economic zones, of course, there were certain challenges as well. Let's talk about those challenges, and also the key industries that needs to be focused more on, and the incentives that are being provided to the business community for setting up systems and industries in these SEZs.
Okay, so coming to the challenges first, I guess it was like, if we talk about the previous government, which had its interest lies somewhere else. So the focus was less on development of these special economic zone, and particularly if we talk about Rashakai Special Economic Zone, which was in KP, then we had Bostan Special Economic Zone in Balochistan, then we had Gwadar Special Economic Zone, and then we have Faisalabad Special Economic Zone, and then we have in Sindh Dhabaji Special Economic Zone. There was a lot of work which started in 2015 and 16. Board of Investment of the respective provinces were supposed to implement the policies and come up with the idea that how to attract more investment. So somehow there was no synergy between these different board of investment. I'm talking about the previous government. But fortunately, let's not talk about that, past is past. For last 15, 16 months, there has been a renewed interest in how to reinvigorate the progress. So as of now, 4 special economic zones are at the final stages where we have already received if not thousands but hundreds of applications from different companies to come and invest. Rashakai, Faisalabad, Bostan and Dhabeji, there's a lot of interest. A lot of companies are now coming. Most likely in next couple of months, all 4 of them will become operational, and expected that we are going to generate 200,000 jobs in these special economic zones. There are different areas where we have attracted pharmaceutical, light engineering, we have fruits, vegetable, minerals. So in that sense, I guess this is a very important progress. And now that we are entering phase 2, the industrialization of Pakistan is very important, where we attract jobs. We are 260 million population unofficially. There is a lot of youth birth, which is more than 63%. So we need to create more jobs for this youth for coming days. And then we also move from an import-driven economy to an export-driven economy. And that was the whole idea, that the second phase will have a lot of Chinese industries relocated in Pakistan. Apart from that, we are also hoping to invite European companies here, because in most of the special economic zone that I've mentioned, there's around 25 to 30 to 40 years tax holidays. You can import your equipment, you can import your machinery, you can import expertise, and there's not going to be any tax. There's like one window operation in these special economic zone in different provinces where these companies can apply, they can get NOC, they can buy land, and then they can start their businesses. So hopefully in this year, we will see a massive progress going on in terms of industrialization. And then Pakistan has this new shift, which you've asked in a couple of questions earlier to different panelists, that we're moving from geopolitics to geoeconomics. And that's the whole idea. We are at the strategic location where we could attract the West Asia, South Asia and Central Asia together. And if we could harness this synergy between these 3 regions, I guess Pakistan has, again, sky's the limit.
It has become a cliche for our program.
And so, Cpec is sky is the limit for us.
Of course, of course. So, Mr. Shahyar, when we talk about, of course, this connectivity, let's talk about significance of this connectivity between Pakistan and the region and beyond. When we talk about this second phase, what is going to be done, what is going to be different when we talk about the lessons that we learned during the first phase?
So, Mariam, connectivity in this region historically has been very low, and through Cpec and through the overall BRI network, this is the first time when this region is now being connected. And as Humayun Sahab mentioned, you mentioned, moving from geopolitics to geoeconomics will never be easy, given the fact that we have like a historical baggage of over 70 years that we are trying to shed and move into a new direction. So in that aspect, looking towards Central Asia, that is like something new, that's something Pakistan is interested in and looking at. Other than that, same is the case from Central Asian states. They're also looking at Pakistan and the Gwadar port to basically expand their borders and expand their trade influence in the region. We also have to like see that the Central Asian states, and we've also discussed that in various programs, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, historically these countries have been very regulated. They're like very state-run economies in which there was not a lot of like deregulation when it came to imports and exports. This is the first time that even Central Asian states are going through a flux, and they're changing their economic models as well. And they're looking at various international markets in South Asia, Southeast Asia, and even in the Middle East. Given the fact that these countries are historically landlocked and they don't have any access to warm waters, Pakistan provides a very golden opportunity to these Central Asian states to enhance their trade influence as well.
Pakistan is a bridge between all these countries, of course. Lastly, Mr. Humayun, when we talk about the future of Cpec, briefly tell us about what are the future objectives of Pakistan, especially for China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, to ensure the economic sustainability of the country.
Mariam, this is like a very complex question, cannot be answered in like 1 minute, but since now we are entering in the second phase, we started with like 4 different areas, which was infrastructure, where we had transmission line, energy, but now we have moved to many other areas. We have agriculture, socio-economic development, poverty alleviation, IT, agriculture, and then also on top of that, we also are talking about green sustainability as well. So in that sense, China being the leader of the world in terms of green energy, artificial intelligence, agriculture technology, hybrid seeds. So I guess the focus is, and since there is a long-term plan between China and Pakistan, which says that, you know, over a period of time, we will reassess what are the key areas and key priorities areas, and we will focus on that. Now for Pakistan, it's industrialization, it's green energy, it's sustainability, and it's also how to create more jobs. So in that sense, the special economic zone is something which for all of us to look forward to, how we can harness this energy from the Chinese firm coming here. We have different banking sector coming here. Yesterday we have opened up a new branch from the Chinese Bank of China here. So that also shows, and then we also are into nuclear technology, the civil nuclear technology. China is helping Pakistan as well. So there are like many areas where this cooperation can lead. And then, as Shahyash Sab was saying, Central Asia is also an area which is very untapped. So Pakistan provides them the shortest land route to the warm waters in the seas. So if we can connect this, and we have already set up the infrastructure. So now there's one impediment which I see in terms of connectivity of South and Central Asia, that is Afghanistan. And if the security situation can be resolved in terms of a regional consensus in which China is basically a key factor through its global security initiative, I guess again we will have very bright future of this region only if we can continue to focus on harnessing these positive energies and focus on the areas where we have developed expertise and then move on to the next phase.
Of course, and we are moving towards the next phase. Thank you very much, Mr. Humayun Khan, for joining us in today's program. Thank you very much, Mr. Shahryar Khan, for joining us in today's program. Of course, in today's program, we talked about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and we are celebrating the 10 years of the launch of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and that, of course, we talked about the potential areas that are going to be focused in the next phase of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. There are a number of lessons that we learned in the first phase, and those lessons are going to be implemented in the second phase. When we talk about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, of course, there are a number of internal and external challenges as well, but Pakistan and China both are determined to move forward, because China-Pakistan Economic Corridor has potential not only to change Pakistan and China's relations and take them to new heights, but for the regional prosperity as well. That's all from Game Changer tonight. Take care.